kids.
It's like, you talking to me?
We joined the DTNS pre-show already in progress.
Well, hi.
Well, hi.
Well, hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
How's it
Hopefully Mom will
going?
be walking not too far because I have to put all the gates up.
If I didn't care. No more ink spots, though, in this, right?
Oh, no, there's no, the Ink Spot song isn't in this one.
Well.
Yeah, I had an old playlist on Rdio for all the songs from Fallout and
Now there's no RDO.
but now there's no more Rdio, so I'm gonna have to make a Spotify playlist. Why does the sun go on shining?
I bet Pandora
I'm
comes
just gonna
up with
keep singing this song.
some way to keep your playlists, I bet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
They
look
have
on
to.
Spotify right now to see if there's a Fallout playlist. All the songs are just always in my head, and I gotta find the DJ. What's his name?
Oh, yeah. We haven't found him yet.
He's in
I bet he's in
Diamond City somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, that guy. I haven't found him either. I just wanted my kid back first.
Oh, here we go. Fallout 4, and Fallout 3 songs on Spotify.
People are on it.
Yeah.
When are they going to make a Fallout movie?
Seriously.
Oh, God. Huh. Well, it only took them how many years to make a Warcraft movie?
Yeah. So long. Oh no, they've got the I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire song by the Ink Spots. Yeah, that's on there.
All right.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
Have you played all the BioShocks?
Only Infinite.
Have you played all the BioShocks, Veronica?
Yes.
Because I get the soundtrack for both games all kind of mixed up.
Oh, well, it's easy. Well, yeah, that's what my playlist was. My playlist was Fallout 3 and BioShock songs together.
It's like a genre.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone have any questions about the show?
Oh, nope.
You're going to talk about shoplifting techniques.
This is like too many songs. Those songs are all not on there.
Sing. Musical guest Veronica
continue.
Belmont. That's fine.
You guys would love it. Don't lie.
You guys could do that. They love it. Kidding me? Just have to pay the mechanical.
I just love that there's so many songs about the apocalypse from that time era.
Well, it was nuclear war or Cold War, right?
I know.
That kind of makes sense, actually.
Like
but
Uranium
it's a weird
Fever is a real
juxtaposition
song.
between the like 50s smooth style, like very smooth pop, and the like, yes, everything's gonna end. Oh well.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going away. Have a
All
good
right.
show, everybody.
Bye.
We're gonna do a show. Bye.
Bye.
Here we go.
Tech News, a daily frontier. To explain advancing technologies and how they affect you. To seek out new gadgets, apps, and picks of the day. These are the continuing missions of the Daily Tech News Show. But Tom and the crew can't do it alone. To help keep DTNS on the cutting edge of news and lovable, goofy, curmudgeonly commentary, visit dailytechnewsshow.com/support to show your support. Now let's hear that other theme song.
This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, November 23rd, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me, as she does most Mondays, although we missed you last Monday, Ms. Veronica Belmont is back, contributor and co-host of Daily Tech News Show, Sword and Laser, and of course, host of Dear Veronica on Engadget. How you doing?
I am good. I'm in Fallout brain, but we'll talk about that some other time.
So you will be interpreting the tech news through the filter of the wasteland, is what you're saying.
Through the filter of a world in which we focused on nuclear power instead of chips and that kinds of technology that we use today, and instead, went that route. So we have killer robots, but we have very rudimentary computing systems.
You really have been submersing yourself in that world. I could
Full
tell.
immersion.
Full immersive mode. Beware, folks. Big thanks to John, by the way, for the new intro today. That was fantastic.
So good.
Fingers crossed on the takedown bot. Let's take a look at the headlines. Google announced Android Studio 2 at Android Dev Summit today. The preview release features Instant Run, the ability to make code changes in a running app and preview them instantly. Anything you make in Studio 2 will work that way. You can also convert older apps. You can also test deep links now, and coming soon to Android Studio 2 will be a faster emulator with a better interface and a GPU profiler. Preview is available in the Canary channel. This is dev stuff, not for end users for the most part, but I know some of you guys make some apps.
That's a pretty cool feature, being able to see live previews like that.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
great.
Like you basically compile it and start it running, and then you can do a code injection. Not really, but kind of.
JP Ward pointed out a Reddit post about a Dell self-assigned certificate, and Ars Technica's Dan Gooden has a good write-up on it. It was the first discovered by a programmer named Joe Nord. Similar to Lenovo's Superfish, some Dell laptops seem to have something called eDell root, all signed with the same key, making it possible to spoof HTTPS connections for anyone using one of those laptops. It can also reportedly sign applications bypassing Microsoft malware checks. Dell issued a statement that technicians are investigating the reports.
Yeah, there's a lot of people jumping to conclusions about why this is on here, but there's no doubt that it's actually bad, especially because security researchers have been able to use it to do some nefarious things. So if you're running a Dell, I would just be careful, what websites you rely on for HTTPS until Dell says more about this. Hopefully they'll come up with a removal kit. We don't know why it's there. It could be because of some kind of ad scheme, which is why Lenovo had it. It was part of a third-party piece of code that they had included on their apps. It wasn't on all Lenovo's. So far, they've found it on 3 different Dell models, but we don't know which models have it. But it is the kind of thing that, if I had to guess right now, I'd say Dell was experimenting with something similar to Superfish, which is Lenovo's ad-serving thing, and then maybe abandoned it, and that's why they forgot it was there, or it's got remnants of code or something.
Yeah, especially good to keep in mind for the holiday shopping season when everyone's going to be online purchasing things on websites.
Yeah, just be extra careful.
Good to keep in mind.
Guy from Trinidad let us know that you can now add Star Wars The Force Awakens themes to your Google apps. You go to google.com/Star Wars. You pick your side, dark or light side of the Force, and then your apps will automatically update. For instance, YouTube's progress bar will look like a lightsaber in the appropriate color. Google Maps position marker will either turn into a TIE fighter or an X-Wing fighter. Also add Star Wars events to your calendar, which you may or may not want. You can turn everything back off at the same website, or even switch sides suddenly after the Emperor kills Samuel Jackson in front of you.
Oh boy, all right, I'm going with the light side.
I went with the light side. It's funny. Like, I'm all Horde in World of Warcraft, but for some reason in the Star Wars universe, I'm like, oh no, there's nothing redeemable about the
Well, Tom, that's okay though, because the Horde is actually the good side.
Exactly. See, that's the difference.
You're not.
Although when I say there's nothing redeemable, I guess that's the whole point of Return of the Jedi, is that it is redeemable, but it's redeemable by moving you back to the end.
Hey, guess who's nerding out too much? These guys. These guys. Hobbit from PA wanted us to take note that Time reports that Google once prototyped a Star Trek-like communicator, just to keep things balanced here in the Star Trek Star Wars world. We're having some Star Trek news as well, fair and balanced. Google made a chest-mounted Bluetooth speaker and microphone that let users Google voice search by tapping on the communicator and speaking. Time magazine got a picture of the device, which looks like a black circular badge double the size of a quarter.
Yeah, they don't say why it never moved past the prototype stage, or what happened to it. And it was just talking to a computer. You weren't actually communicating with it. But it'd be cool to be like, computer, what is the weather outside? And then have it tell you.
I know. I want that still.
Yeah, nicely done. WordPress.com announced a new version of itself, codenamed Calypso, an entirely new code base for the blogging software. WordPress.com is now separated from the WordPress core, kind of like any other third-party interface would be. Developers built everything in JavaScript and API instead of PHP and MySQL. It's a single-page application, so it should work well across devices. We're talking about WordPress.com now, by the way, not WordPress.org. There's also a Mac app, although I think WordPress.org folks can access some of this with Jetpack. The interface is open source and available on GitHub.
And if that's too complicated, you can always use Squarespace.
You could. You got to pay for that. WordPress.org is free, but I use both. I like Squarespace. I like WordPress. Yeah, and WordPress.com, for the people who pay or use the free version, looks ridiculously awesome. If you're somebody who's like, you know what, I never wanted to get into the CSS or the code or anything like that. I just wanted a nice, clean interface, and you use WordPress. It's pretty nice.
UK carrier EE announced that it's carrying out a strategic review on whether to offer users advertising control on their mobile devices. The review will consider tools for subscribers to block some kinds of ads on the web and in apps. A volume control for ads is also being considered, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think this is fascinating. The idea of a carrier getting in there and saying, well, maybe ads are so out of hand that we should help our users manage them. Now, they're not saying they would ad block everything. They're also not using the words ad block because they're, PR people. But
yeah,
it is interesting. There was one comment, and I think it was either in the TechCrunch article or in a comment on the TechCrunch article that said, well, yeah, they want to get people to pay them to whitelist. So it's another way for the carrier to charge people to access its customers, which is also true.
Devious and brilliant.
The task force recommending registration for recreational UAVs, you can call them drones, quadcopters, etc., has issued its final report, as we mentioned on Friday that they would. Vehicles that weigh less than 250 grams, that's about just a little more than a half pound, do not need to be registered. So lightweight stuff, small stuff, don't need to register it. If you have something more than that, then you have to fill out an electronic registration. It could even be done on an app. And then you receive a certificate registration number for use on all of your vehicles. So you're registering yourself, not each vehicle. You just need to make sure that your number is on those vehicles, and you're going to get a little bit of education in how to properly, and responsibly fly your vehicles. The FAA will now take comment on the recommendations before issuing its interim final rules.
Yeah, I think this, to me, so far, this sounds reasonable. I do not own a drone of any kind right now, though I enjoy them, and I like what they do for video and for pictures and images and recreational use. But this sounds fair. I feel like the way they're being used so frequently, like perhaps the FAA should probably have some say. I'm guessing at this point.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I feel
the FAA
okay
is
about
gonna
that.
have say. Yeah, I think that this recommendation, which came from outside companies, outside the FAA, saying here's what we think you should do. I think that was a good way for the FAA to do it, to say let's look at. Let's have some outside people give us a recommendation. I don't love the idea of having to register something that I use with the government in order to use it in my backyard. But
not everyone just uses it in their backyard. People are using it in responsible ways. So unfortunately, some people have ruined it for everybody.
In order to make sure that people are educated, like, hey, don't fly these near an airport, which, by the way, my backyard, very near an airport. So there you go. Suddenly I'm the backyard guy who's like, oh, right, Santa Monica Airport, got it. I need to take that into account. It's not the worst way to do it. I agree with you there.
The Telegraph reports a faulty image component was the reason for LG's withdrawal of the LG Watcher Bane 2nd edition from the market last week, and we discussed the launch on the show previously. LG said the part in question was a new advanced component never used in an LG wearable before. After thousands of hours of testing, LG found it could, quote, potentially impact our image quality over the life of the device.
Yeah, Darren was speculating on Friday that it could be related to the modem because he has some experience registering products with the FCC that he sells through the Hack5 shop. And that seemed to be a logical assumption, but it looks like no. It looks like LG was just doing quality control and found something pretty bad with either the screen or the display of something to do with image where they're like, ooh, this is not going to be good over time. And that's why they found it out so late. So I
prefer
guess,
when they do preemptive things like this and kind of get out ahead of it and try to make good.
Mark Zuckerberg posted on his Facebook timeline that he will take 2 months of paternity leave. He wrote, quote, studies show that when working parents take time to be with their newborns, outcomes are better for the children and families. Zuckerberg announced back in July that his wife and he were expecting a baby girl. He made no mention of who would fill in his absence, and he's only taken part of the leave. Facebook offers up to 4 months of paid paternal leave. And you can break it up into different pieces, so he might take a few more weeks off here and there, but trying to be an example for work-life balance there.
I hope so. Ryan, my husband, actually teased me this weekend by saying, oh, did you hear about Mark Zuckerberg taking paternity leave? I was like, oh, really? That's great. How long? He's like, 8 months. And I went, 8 months? And I was like furious. So he was like taking that much time, and like women don't get to take that time, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, no, I'm kidding. It's 2 months. And I was like, oh, okay. That's reasonable.
Yeah, and he's not even taking the full 4 months. So, yeah, it's good. I think it's lead by example.
Yeah, I think that's
situation.
wonderful, and I think
Yeah.
I hope more companies follow the Facebook's example in this. Opera Max, Opera's app for compressing data and saving bandwidth for people on limited data plans, has added support for streaming music. Opera Max previously worked for image-heavy apps and streaming video sites. The first music apps to work with Opera Max will be YouTube Music, Pandora, Slacker Radio, Ghana, and Savan. I hope I'm saying those right, with more to follow. Opera promises to save about 50% of the data normally used.
Now, this is great for people on limited data all over the world, and that's a lot of us. Very few people have unlimited data plans anymore. So given the facts that I guess T-Mobile's doing their 0 rating type of thing, and some other carriers do that as well, but music, images on Instagram, and video eat up a lot of data.
You had personal experience with this recently, didn't you, Tom?
Well, okay. I don't want to embarrass anyone that I am on a family plan with whose initials may be MOM, but there was a bingo app. It was sucking down a lot of data.
A bingo app may have been involved.
I mean, mistakes were made. And yeah, installing Opera Max on that phone might be a really good idea. That's all I'm saying.
Bingos were had.
Hey, everybody. We love to hear from you. As noted, there were several stories. Almost all these stories were on our subreddit today. We definitely take into account what you guys want to hear us talk about. And the more people who participate in the subreddit, the more seriously we're going to take it, because that's a larger and larger segment of the audience, and it's getting bigger all the time. So head on over there, join in, at least do some voting, if not submitting some links at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And that is a look at the headlines. Veronica found a great story in the BBC today by Jonathan Keane. It's an article on facial recognition as shoplifting prevention. This is fascinating, Veronica. So you can argue whether it's a rising tide of shoplifting, but the U.S. retail system research calls it a constant, if nothing else. Like it's always a problem. Trying to dissuade it is one thing, but trying to catch people is another way. And one way to stop people is not to let them into the shop at all if they've got a history of shoplifting.
Yeah, this does, I think, make people very nervous, and we're constantly straddling that line of, do we use technology to help prevent things like shoplifting or crimes from being committed, or are we more concerned about our own personal privacy issues? And this is a really good example of that, because there was a pilot program. There's a few other programs like this going on in the world where they use cameras to do facial recognition, and if there's a shoplifter that comes up on the registry, the local stores have the option of saying, nope, you can't come in, sorry. But that makes me think, well, what happens if, okay, he was a shoplifter, if his record hasn't been cleaned properly, or if he's turned over a new leaf? It makes me wonder, like, how long will this history follow you throughout your life? And what are the privacy issues inherently involved with this kind of thing? I mean, we already know we're all being watched in stores on CCTV or on security cameras. So why is this worse or better? Yeah,
the pilot program you're talking about was regarded jewelers, saying whether you could come into their jewelry shop or not. And if you were a convicted jewel robber, they didn't let you in. And yet, you're still right. Like, it's definitely frightening to think like, oh, I shoplifted a candy bar once and now I'll be banned from every retail shop. And that's not where things are going right now. But even at that level of more understandable, like, oh, okay, you're a jewel thief, which, by the way, pretty cool, but you're not coming in my jewelry shop. What if you are reformed? I mean, should you lose all of your future rights to go into a jewel shop if that's the case? On the other hand, it's a private shop. They can let who they want through the door. They don't, they're not required to allow anybody in if they don't want to. So it is interesting. And the idea of facial recognition being creepy to us is very age-based. There were several studies done that showed we as people are getting comfortable with the idea, especially in shops, of being surveilled. Especially the younger you are, the more comfortable you are with it. 30% of retailers use facial recognition, and 50% of shoppers surveyed were comfortable with that.
And then I'm curious too. It would have being a store that supposedly uses facial recognition. Would that have the same kind of deterrent as putting up a home alarm system sign in front of your house, even if you don't have one inside? Would that still work as a potential deterrent?
Right, because the idea, they sell these cameras that aren't actually on, that just have a blinking red light as a deterrent. Because if the potential criminal is not very sophisticated, they won't know it's a fake, and it will deter them from stealing anything. I don't know how you do that with facial recognition, though, unless you're showing faces and like putting people's names up there and just really creeping people out.
Facial recognition technology used in this store or something like that could be effective also. But a lot of these articles are saying similar things too about how technology is making it easier for people to do crimes and to do things like flash robs, which is something I learned about today, in which a bunch of shoppers go in at the same time, and either some people distract the clerks while other people steal, or they just do a massive shoplifting situation. I don't know what the term.
So many people are taking things they can't
stop them all.
They can't stop them all. Yeah.
So why not use technology to also combat criminal activities in the same way?
Although I don't know if I guess facial recognition might help in catching people who are part of that, but facial recognition isn't certainly going to stop a flash rob in practice, right?
But not at the time, but it would be able to say, all right, now we have the technology where as long as we see the full face, you do need to see the face and the eyes in order for the facial recognition to work. They maybe will feel less secure that their identities won't be able to get out there. With the traditional camera, it's all grainy and kind of crappy, and you can't really see that great. But with facial recognition, there's a higher level of being able to identify the person. Yeah. A lot of these companies, too, are doing what they call privacy-enabled approaches. So, for instance, a company called Prism just monitors the movements of people and products to sort of identify who might have taken something. They're not doing identification. They're just saying, let's figure out after the fact what happened and how it happened. Maybe that can help, product placement and other security measures in the future. Netra is a company that scans your surveillance footage after an incident without storing faces, and looks for things like clothing color, hair length, backpacks, etc., to identify, okay, that was the person who was the thief. And then people just look at the picture and say, okay, let's try to figure out who that is. So it's not always about just tracking everyone. On the other hand, a lot of these companies are saying, well, it's expensive to put in facial recognition, but if we can also use it to give you discounts or to do other things that can help us in our business, some of which are not as creepy, some of which is just, we realize that people come in at this type of day, they go down these aisles more than these aisles, they're looking at these products more than those products. Those aren't personal, but other things could be like, we noticed that person comes in all the time. Or how long they spend looking at something in particular. Right. Also, for loss prevention, they can tell what times of days that stuff is happening or stuff is going missing. That way they can put more people on staff during those hours, where normally maybe it was just one person manning the store and more was getting taken because of it.
Back in June, pro-privacy groups walked out of a U.S. 16-month-long discussion on facial scanning and preserving privacy, and both sides are insisting on their side of it. The retail shops say, no, we don't need anyone's permission to do this. They're coming into our shop, we get to scan their face. And the privacy groups are saying, no, you should get consent from people before you stick a camera on them and scan their face. You should at least let them know. So there's a real fight going on over what the rules about this should be.
For me, I feel like it's okay to let people know. I just kind of walk around in the world with no expectation of privacy ever, just because I just assume that we live in a Big Brother state at this point, and that I am probably on camera anywhere.
Not just a Big Brother state. I mean, everyone around you has a camera, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't even have to be an organization. There's so many people taking pictures of you at any given moment.
And so, because I'm so famous, obviously.
Well, I just meant
that just happens naturally.
Because you like to photobomb, particularly.
Yes, exactly. Any expectation of privacy I have in any public place is ruined by myself photobombing other people's pictures. Exactly. Someone will always be able to nail me down on a location.
And you can't stop yourself.
But if you tell people that they're being recorded, like we said earlier, that's an added benefit of being a deterrent in and of itself. So I think you cover the privacy ground by saying, yes, if you enter this store, you're being recorded. By the way, we're not going to use it anywhere else. We're just using it as loss prevention. Or, and that on top of it would be like, oh, well, if I go into this store that I was planning to rob, they'll see me if I don't go into this store. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the retailers do have a good counter response, which is like, if we only get to do facial recognition on people who say it's okay, the shoplifters will say it's not okay, and other people will too. So you can't just convict someone for saying it's not okay. They have to have the right to decline if you're asking for actual consent. So I think there can be a compromise. I just don't know exactly what it is. I think maybe just notification saying, look, we have facial recognition. You're agreeing to it if you walk through this store. And that way it has the right effect. If shoplifters don't agree to it, they won't go into the store. And then
that's what I just said, yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're
but
absolutely
also
right.
it does lead down a line of, once we consent to this, are we then consenting to targeted advertising or, other kind of weird, creepy stuff like already happens on the internet, but now it would be happening in meat space?
Yeah, terms of service, right? If you walk into this store, you consent to facial recognition, which will be used to market you across the
Here's the EULA.
Yeah. No, and I think that's where the privacy groups could probably do the best work, is to say, okay, fine, you don't have to get explicit consent, but you have to agree not to do this, that, and the other thing with that data. And there's lots you can do without identifying people personally. You can have the software say, well, that looks like a lady, that looks like a guy, and that could be valuable information. Like, 70% of our visitors are women, and we're a women's clothing store, so that's odd. Maybe we should stock some men's clothes. I don't know. There's things you can do without actually having to violate people's privacy that can be aggregated data, I guess.
Yeah, I think I am the most concerned, as I mentioned in the very beginning of this article, that people who have turned over a new leaf will continue to be confronted with these issues down the road. But as long, I guess, as the lists, oh God, even just saying putting people on lists just like hurts my brain in like a really negative kind of way. But if they upload, if they keep using updated police records, so far they were only using local police records. It's not tied into any kind of like national registry of people. But that could be weird. That could be detrimental.
Well, and that's the thing. Right now, the retailers have to go and provide their own database to match the faces against, which means in most cases they're working with the local police. But what happens when a third-party startup decides to disrupt that industry and create an independent list? And how is that list validated? And what if you get on it by accident and all of that sort of thing? So yeah. All right, let's get to our pick of the day. Hey, do you know have you seen those Apple TV screensavers on the new Apple TV?
No, I don't have the new Apple TV yet.
They show a city scene, and you think it's just a picture, and then slowly you notice the cabs are moving, and like lights are winking on and off. And there's lots of stuff like that. They're like slow motion animation. They're really gorgeous. And I know some people might want them on their desktop. So Josh from lovely New Fairfield, Connecticut, has a pick for you. John Coates created a small Swift app at GitHub that pulls the new Apple TV screensaver for Mac screensaver use. So now you can get them, Veronica.
Oh, nice.
Definitely not official, says Josh, and no idea how long it'll work to pull down the Apple TV videos, but it saves them locally, and it's gorgeous, although each video is quite large, around 200 to 300 megabytes each. You can pick and choose which ones you want to use, and it just cycles through them. You can even have different videos running on different screens. Josh also found some terminal commands that could make these videos your desktop, although the screensaver won't activate when you do that. And we'll put those instructions in our show notes along with his full email. So thank you for that. Josh, I'm going to try this out. It's pretty cool. I wonder if it still works. I saw that the GitHub project is still up. Whether it actually can get the videos or not, I didn't check. But send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Do you know New Fairfield, Connecticut? I heard you react.
I know Fairfield, Connecticcut, but I don't know if I know New Fairfield, Connecticut.
Oh, yeah, they built a new one.
They built a whole new town on top of the old one? Very cool.
Yeah, so much better. Has facial recognition to get in the count.
Weird.
80 wrote in, or is it Audie? You told me before, and I can't remember now. Said, hey, Tom and co-host, on Wednesday you discussed with Scott how the decrease in cars might pose a problem to the auto industry as fewer cars will be sold and each car will travel more miles. I think what this will do is move the auto industry to become, like everything else, a service industry. I could easily see professional drivers taking a car on a time-based contract with every operational aspect covered by the manufacturer and the driver just paying by the mile. You can already lease a car today, and here in Israel, employees getting company cars are usually put on what's called operational leasing, whereby a leasing company takes care of all the maintenance, including insurance and annual licensing. You even get unlimited fuel as part of the monthly lease price. Unlimited, meaning in the telecommunications sense of the world, it's capped by miles. That's funny. So it's not much of a stretch to see car manufacturers adopt the same model of operation, and they have the advantage of providing upgrades on a periodic basis. On the plus side, this model incentivizes the manufacturers to build cars that are low maintenance and can last for a long time. On the downside, are we looking at a future of cars being like software or digital content, or you pay for a license to use it, but you never own it?
That's what I like.
You like never owning? You like never owning.
I waffle back and forth on this because I love owning a car, but I think I would be just as happy to be able to call for a car and use it at my leisure whenever I wanted it, and then be able to dump it somewhere and not have to take care of it.
What if you were someone who needed a car for your work, whether that's driving an Uber or whether it's just like some other thing where you drive around meetings and people or something like that? Would you go beyond a lease and just pay a monthly fee to a company for access to a car?
Well, is that not Zipcar? I mean, the only downside is that you don't have the guarantee that a car is going to be available for you at a particular time. So that would be the main caveat for me. Would be, I'm going to pay $50 a month to access my car when I need it for, let's say 6 hours a month or something maximum. Yeah. But the car is available for me whenever I want it, no matter what.
I'm not sure we make the jump to car as a service more so than we already do with leases and zip cars until there's self-driving cars. Mm-hmm. Then but I still think it's more of a, I'll be guaranteed to have a car available within 5 minutes of my request sort of service level, not actually keeping it in my garage.
And we're already there with Uber, really.
Yeah,
I mean, in cities like San Francisco and LA or even New York now, it's your wait time is, I rarely wait for more than 5 minutes tops for an Uber. Usually it's 3 minutes.
Now I'm always getting emails from people who point out that folks who don't live in those cities, or especially folks who live in rural areas, are going to not take advantage of these advances as soon or maybe ever because they don't have Uber cars or possibly even self-driving cars circulating around in as great a numbers.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to have to be for a while.
I know. And I point that out so that they don't have to email me. They're very nice.
We have had this discussion previously as well. Yes.
Andy, temporarily from fall-colored Japan, says, I'm on an amazing holiday in Japan right now and was entering the grounds of the Icon-do Temple in Kyoto when I noticed a sign on the grounds for the first time, no drones was a thing. Is that common? I guess more public spaces are going to be modifying their prohibited activities list. Anyway, thought you guys would find it interesting. So yeah, there's a big old sign that says, no unipods, so no selfie sticks, no drone, and they've got a picture of a quadcopter, the universal symbol for quadcopter there. Refrain from using a selfie rod in congestion. So I guess you can do a selfie stick. You can't do a tripod or a unipod. That's interesting. No drone.
Oh.
No
I was going to
pets.
say, speaking of drones and stuff, I know it's already happened, but I thought it would be fun to show off the we had Friff happened. And we
the
had
Flying
Eddie on
Robot
the show.
Festival, the one we talked to Eddie about, yeah.
And we had our winner and our best in show, and I shared it on Google+, but I'll link to it in the chat as well. Maybe we can put it in the show notes. But just such spectacular work done in the drone videography space. It was incredible to see.
Very cool. Yeah, plop that link in the show notes right under Andy's email.
Okay.
And we'll have it available for people. And thank you, everybody, for watching, listening. Thank you, Veronica Belmont. As always, where can people find more Veronica? Because I know they want more Veronica. There's not enough Veronica on the internet.
I would argue with that, but I am at about.me/Veronica, and new episodes of Dear Veronica happen every Wednesday at Engadget.com/Dear-Veronica, and of course Sword and Laser every week at swordandlaser.com with my wonderful co-host, Mr. Tom Merritt.
He's okay.
He's okay. I like the girl better on that show, but the guy's okay.
Yeah, she's smarter.
Yeah.
He's the only good. He's always like trying to pronounce things right, and he's right.
much prettier.
He thinks
though.
he's so right. No, that's so not true. Well, he does have better clothing now that he signed up for the Mister collection. I've noticed that. Hey, Movie League Mike does a Saturday post on Daily Tech News Show's blog, which I have been horribly remiss in not telling you about more often. I don't think I've mentioned it on the show once, but it is hilarious. You're missing out if you don't go read it. DailyTechNewsShow.com. Just scroll back to Saturday. If it's Monday still, you just scroll back one post, and it's right there. He does it. A hilarious, amazing take on the tech stories of the week. It makes me laugh every Saturday. You've got to go read it, and he might have some more something coming your way in that vein. I don't no spoilers here. It's his thing to talk about. He'll let me know when it's okay. But go catch up on the post, dailytechnewsshow.com. Thank you, Movie League Mike, for doing those, by the way. They're really, really fun. And I know a lot of people do read them and enjoy them. If you want to keep us going with all of these different projects, support us on Patreon. DailyTechNewsShow.com/support has a link to the Patreon, has a link to PayPal if you're like, I don't really do the Patreon, has a link to a store where you can get a brand new DTNS mug. I don't know what our ship by dates for holidays are, but I'm sure if you order it today, you'll be fine.
My poor mugs.
That's tasty water. Yeah, Veronica had an accident with her.
The first one got sent to my old apartment, unfortunately, and was stolen, which is the problem we had at the old apartment.
That's how
all
in
the
demand
time.
they are.
And the second one arrived, and the handle was completely busted. It won't happen to you. This is just I'm having some bad luck this week, apparently.
Mine showed up perfectly
it's
fine.
gorgeous.
But if it does
Gorgeous
happen,
crap.
we'll replace it. Yeah. DailyTechNewsShow.com/support. Anyway, for all the ways to support the show. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Catch the show live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. Visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Congratulations to Kieran on the Medical Minute. Back tomorrow with Patrick Beja. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Enjoyed this program.
Why does that happen?
Yeah.
What happened?
Do you put both of those bumpers in one clip
Nope.
to play together, or you play them separate?
No, they're separate.
Something's going on with that program.
Yes, that is true. I don't know why that does that. All right. I closed
Great
it
show,
and opened
guys.
it several times. Yes. And I don't want to forget the Medical Minute
Yeah, don't forget the medical minute.
this time. He has a nice little thank you to us for helping him, distract him while he was finishing his degree. So that's why my congratulations.
I really like people who robbed Walmart.tumblr.com.
Oh, is that's a real thing?
No, it's a title suggestion.
Oh, it's good.
That's how much you make, Linda.
Oh, excuse me.
It's those late night fall. It's those late
I get it
fallout
now.
nights.
Took me a moment. Those fallout nights.
Give me more, give me more, give me more fusion core.
Careful, small fry.
Nailed it.
Yeah, save up on fusion cores too when you go to the glowing sea.
Oh boy.
And we're back with Daily Fallout News Show.
Brought to
And
you
don't
by...
stop for anything. Keep on chugging. It doesn't matter if your assistant's getting like diced.
A bingo ate my data cap. I don't know. That embarrasses my mom and my nephew's Australian girlfriend. So I don't know if I can do that one.
I don't think it's. Oh, you mean the accent or the title?
Both. Definitely the accent is offensive in my horrible attempts.
Oh, a bingo ate my data cap is so funny.
It is.
Oh,
it has
so
to,
funny.
does that have to be it?
It might have to be it.
Although
Mom.
Facial
Australians get
profiling
all,
is pretty good
I
too.
will say, yeah, facial profiling is good. I do say that Australians get all worked up about dingo ate my baby jokes because that's like their most heinous crime of all time, and we are always making jokes about it.
Well, it's not their most heinous crime, but
No,
it's
I
the
know.
one that everyone.
Yeah,
the
they
one
didn't
that-
commit it.
Yeah,
well, it's the
no,
one
but I'm
that
saying the
everyone
most.
talks about it.
All right, I'm sorry, people. The most collectively heinous shared memory of a crime that occurred in Australia. Let me be more specific. So anyway, but I still think it's
I
funny.
wish Peter Wells were here. But since it's
Well,
not directly
only several thousand more dollars, and you can have them.
yeah, we're gonna keep doing headlines like this till you get Peter Wells back. Come on, Australia. No, and because it doesn't actually reference the dingo itself,
I think it's okay.
I feel like it can get a pass, don't you?
Yeah. Someone will write you.
Roger,
I
are
think.
you saying no?
I don't know.
You think no?
Even if
Facial profiling was the discussion topic.
but that's just me.
Well, I didn't hear what Roger said. Sorry.
No, I just even if it doesn't explicitly say that, the joke is kind of ripping on that whole.
And you think it's not a good idea?
That's personal. That's just me. Remember, I was almost gonna get married to Miss Friend. So.
I know. It's a psychological thing. Now that two people have said it.
Well, considering how much our Patreon keeps going up every time Peter plugs his
How about,
potential
dude,
show
you're getting
in
a
Australia.
root kit?
Yeah, I think maybe that.
It's not actually a root kit, though. It's a root certificate.
You're getting a root certificate?
It doesn't work as well in there.
Yeah.
All right, you're right. Facial profiling is our...
Facial profiling it is.
And that's a nice pun on racism. Wow, when you start thinking about jokes, they're just not funny anymore.
I know. My husband would be very upset
Did
with
you
us
see
right
that
now.
one I posted today on Twitter about the there's a university, I'm trying to remember, in Canada, that's the student union basically dropped a yoga program or whatever.
Oh God,
Because
so bad.
They considered it, what do they got, cultural appropriation, and based on a white supremacist structure. Racial.
Yeah. It was.
It was really stupid. It's like if you read it, it's like, come on, now you're just like finding a reason to be outraged.
There are some
And I
weird.
generally
There's
don't
some
say-
like cultural appropriation issues with yoga for sure, but like I don't know.
but
It's
if
taken to the
you know,
next
someone,
level.
Wouldn't it depend on how it's done?
well,
I've never taken a
Yeah.
yoga class, so I don't really know.
I think there was is it in Hindu? I think there was on a Reddit forum somewhere I follow Reddit. He basically said that, you know, as long as you just do the exercise aspect of it, it's fine. As long as you don't try to weave in the various religious, spiritual, you know, significance of all these things that you may or may not get. It's like, fine, if you just do the exercise, you just do the exercise.
I mean, as a Catholic, I don't mind people doing confession stretching, where they just sit and kneel for 30 minutes waiting
Like,
in
you don't
line.
see me running around chasing after people for doing wushu or something. It's like, whoa, no, what are you doing?
Can I interrupt this post show for a plug?
Yes.
Okay. Tonight, if you have old school cable, if you have not cut the cord, even if you have, you should watch Disney XD at 8:30 p.m. because my husband and his writing partner wrote a movie called Mark and Russell's Wild Ride, and it's going to be on tonight. It premieres tonight.
Here's the
Yay.
best part, folks. If you have Sling TV, you can add Disney XD for $5 for a month and then get rid of it. And then you don't have, and then you get access to all the Star Wars Rebels so far this year on top of this amazing movie. And if you haven't signed up for Sling TV, you can get a free trial. Just saying.
It's, you know, it's Star Wars Rebels. It's probably the best thing that Disney has going at Disney XD.
I signed
Well,
up
what
for,
about the Guardians thing?
I added the
Guardians
kids
of the
pack to Sling TV on purpose to get Star Wars Rebels, and it's the best buy ever because instead of having to pay $3 an episode to get the HD versions, for $5 a month, I'm getting 4 episodes a month. And then now, as a bonus, I can watch Matt's awesome movie.
Mark and Russell's Wild Ride.
Exactly.
Although I will say I really need to cut the cord. Comcast just raised my bill by $45. Happy birthday, Roger. We're going to raise your cable rate. this is after they already removed my 2-year special discount rate. It's like,
I'm like halfway through The Expanse, Strike It Rich. I've been watching it as much as I can in little chunks all day long.
Did anyone watch Jessica Jones or Man in the High Castle yet?
We watched
I
all of
watched
season
the
1.
first episode of Jessica Jones, and I am
I gotta
hooked.
catch up on that.
I am crazy hooked. It's so good.
Veronica, you
Yeah.
have to watch The Expanse. Go to sci-fi.com today.
I know. I'm on the. They have it on the Goodreads page too.
Yeah.
I will
wait,
watch
did
it.
that start already?
So far, so good. Yeah, the first
Yes.
episode is up in preview on the webs. If you have a browser, you can watch it. I think it's actually available on Sci-Fi's app, too.
Did anybody get the Hammaker Schlemmer catalog and see the Darth Vader Barbasaber?
No.
That's when I was like, stop allowing people to merch your movie.
Hey,
Like-
by the way, I have finally reached peak Star Wars trailer.
Yeah.
Personally,
Yeah.
like I'm still watching them, but I'm not excited anymore. Like they've overdone it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
you
American
knew they
Music
were gonna.
Awards exclusive yesterday was I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I really
let me
just
see
want
the
the movie
movie now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see the SNL?
Yeah, I like that.
The
That I did
auditions
like.
thing was cute. Yeah. The George Lucas one was actually the best.
Yes.
for
Yeah.
me.
That the new cast they have is pretty solid. The current cast they have is pretty solid.
What, of SNL?
Yeah.
Oh,
for a
oh.
while there it was pretty shaky. Wait, are you saying no or yes?
Well,
no,
they
I'm
had
agreeing
a-
with you. Sorry.
Yeah, they had a reboot year, and then they got it together right in time for the election.
Just pick any year since 1978.
Yeah.
And you can either say, boy, the SNL cast has gone down, or the SNL cast is finally good again. Like it's
Yeah.
just 50-50.
That's what Lauren Michaels was talking about on Mark Maron's 2 hours
really?
of podcast. Yeah.
Remember when Anthony Michael Hall was on SNL?
Oh yeah.
Well, that was a
dude.
universally bad year.
I think he was in 2 skits that entire year. Yeah, that was
Oh,
like
wait, who was
I
the
think
other?
that I consider that probably their worst year ever.
That's because that was the year Lauren Michaels wasn't there.
Yeah.
Wait, who was the? Who plays Tony Stark Iron Man?
Or maybe it was the first year he came back. I'm sorry, that was the first year he came back. And he was like going to
Robert Downey.
reinvent it.
Robert Downey
and
Jr.,
make it-
yeah.
yeah.
He was in for 2 seasons or 1 season.
He was
That was
definitely in
really
for 1.
It was a really
it was
steep-
1.
He was actually in skits though, unlike Anthony Michael
Yeah,
Hall.
but they weren't
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, because Lauren Michaels came back and they were going to do this edgy, new, different thing, I think. And then
Like Kids in the Hall.
they did a final season sketch where they joked that everybody was caught in a fire, and Lauren Michaels came in and only saved John Lovitz, so that everybody else in the cast was out, and they've like never re-aired it because it's basically super offensive.
There were some really weird choices, like Janine Garofalo.
Well, she's
Well,
funny.
She's funny.
She was not the weirdest choice, I didn't think.
It's just like she was. I don't know. She didn't. There was just a lot of. I think it goes in like spots where there's like a good run for 2 years, and
Julia Louis-Dreyfus was wasted. I actually started watching SNL in the Eddie Murphy years when he
Yeah.
was pretty much the only good one. But Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in for some of those years,
Yeah.
and she was great.
She
But they
was
never
20.
used her.
She was 20 years old or something crazy. She was
Oh, yeah.
super young
Aw.
and a lady in a not totally lady
And they
friendly.
just they never put her in any skits.
Yeah.
The ones they put her in, she was awesome.
Nya, nya, nya.
well, one of these days you can talk to her face to face.
Oh my gosh! Someone on Twitter, who was it? Robert Monty just sent me the search for everything Star Wars on Hammaker Schlemmer, and they are the Chewbacca slippers, the Star Wars fleece robe, the illustrated Star Wars tome, the Wake You I Can Star Wars clock, the Star Wars Steins, Darth Vader humidifier. Oh
That's-
my God!
That's the Disney merchandise machine.
Yeah,
Totally,
for sure.
That's totally Disney. Have you seen the amount of Avengers?
It's impossible to figure out what's going to be valuable in 20 years.
Yeah.
Well,
The-
they don't. The majority of the risk isn't with Disney. They just sell you the license, and then you make tennis shoes, and hopefully it sells. They get you pay a percentage to Disney.
I don't know. The Darth Vader pancake maker, I think, is
Hey, see, okay, so you don't
we're a bridge too far.
remember during the first run
You
of
don't
Star
know
Wars.
Yeah.
the
They had
flower of the dark side.
They had I used to have a Darth Vader shampoo bottle. And they used to sell the C-3PO, Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, one other as shampoo bottles. You would twist their head, and it would just be like Pantene or
Oh
something.
my god, this is the most dangerous thing I've ever seen. The Luke Skywalker knife block, in which the knives are on a horizontal plane facing you to make it look like a TIE fighter. It's insane. It's really, you can't see it. It's
Wait,
really
did Hemmickler Schemmickler go out of business, or is that the...
No, if they're out of business, I'm still getting their catalog.
Sky Mall went out of business.
Yes.
I
Which was full of a lot of Hammaker Schlemmiker. Hamtramck Schlemmiker.
I always like the 2-in-1 devices, like the lawnmower / vacuum cleaner. It cuts your carpet and it vacuums your
Axel
lawn.
going, God, I wish they wouldn't do this.
All right, Ellie is getting fussy, so we have to quit. No, it's not your. No, don't apologize, Roger. It's just she is
I'm
our
an Asian parent. I must apologize.
she's our clearances person, and she's saying you're going too long. She's the suit that we have to pay attention to. So thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later,
Bye.
Bye.
and you too.